Episode 4. My stand-in episode 4 finds Joe waiting for Ming to wake. When he does, he can't remember the night before. But Joe does. Leaving him with breakfast, he heads out with barely a word. At work, the director and Tong are arguing over schedules as Tong is planning his wedding. So, Tong tells him to find a replacement. Immediately, Director Powell turns to Joe and gives him the leading role. Caught in a standoff, Joe looks nervous as Tong walks out. What convinces Joe that this situation is Tong's fault and that he wants to see star Joe in a movie, but that this is the wrong one, that Tong's fans will shred him. Thinking of Ming the previous night, Joe decides he wants the role to show Tong's fans he can be a leading man. What says they didn't expect Joe to accept the role, so now he really needs to make a success of it. He should take a moment to reconsider. But Joe will stay the course, asking if he can stay at What's house that night to talk through everything. What's pregnant wife welcomes Joe and updates What that the international production team has called for a team again, but What won't work with them. Joe tells What that he and Ming broke up because Ming only sees him as a stand-in for Tong. Now What gets it, Joe can do anything Tong can do. But What is happy to see he's no longer involved with Ming. He encourages Joe to accept Ming's call and settle things now, as his press conference for the movie is upcoming. Joe tells him to pack up and leave, but Ming can't believe it. The next day, Ming confronts him at work. As Ming manhandles Joe, demanding he come home, Sol steps in and they fight. What throws Ming out, but he says it isn't over yet, so What scolds Joe for not clearing things. At Joe's apartment, Ming still hasn't packed, so Joe starts packing for him. But Ming holds him tightly. As they argue, Tong calls, so Joe tells him to speak to him. Tong rails about being fired and asks Ming to prevent Joe from attending the press conference. Ming promises he'll take care of it. Ming immediately turns the screws on Joe, saying he's leaving him to take a role with Sol, accusing him of sleeping with Sol when he didn't come home the previous night. During the shouting, Sol calls and says he's on his way, but Joe tells him not to come. Then Ming hits him from behind with a bat. Joe wakes chained in an unfamiliar